Thanks for joining us here on Nick at Night. We have a great show for you this evening. Lots happening in the world of Hollywood. Did you know, before Democratic Senator Al Franken joined the ranks of the DC elite, that he was a comedian on SNL? Surprise, surprise. A liberal comedian can become a U.S. Senator. I love it. Well, things aren't so funny anymore, though, after Franken was accused of sexual assault by an LA radio host and is under fire for allegedly groping her while she slept. And there's even a photo. Jeez. Hollywood. Do they know no limit to their depravity? We'll break down the response to Franken's alleged assault and look at early reviews for the upcoming Justice League movie. We knew the movie'd be a mess, but that's what happens when you have to change directors midway and sink $300 million into a Hollywood vanity project, especially when it's aimed at selling kids' toys. We also have another great selection on Nick's picks for you tonight, but first, we're going after Senator Stuart Smalley.
Because I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me.
Leanne Tweeden was set to perform for the troops with Al Franken during a USO tour when she claims he forcibly kissed her and touched her breasts. She referred to him as fish lips as she recounted the story in disgust. She called it a wet and slimy experience. Well, looking at Stuart Smalley and Al Franken, I would think that's exactly what it would be. But Franken maintains things went down a little differently. Called the photo a joke, all right, but he still apologized and admitted that he shouldn't have done it. I don't know, something stinks. Tweeden said Franken knew exactly what he was doing and did it on purpose to shame her for rebuffing his advances. Now, we've talked a lot on this show about the lines between the news media, Hollywood, and politics getting blurred. Well, this is them melting together once again. Franken, just further proof that that theory is correct. He was a former comedian, turned actor, then activist, now liberal U.S. senator accused of sexual assault. It already sounds like a Hollywood movie. Now, here's the thing about Franken. He used to be in the game. He was deep in Hollywood, which means that when he gets accused, unlike conservatives or other politicians, his friends in the media and in Hollywood, they're going to come running to defend him. Liberal politicians have already said, well, he's apologized, and this isn't the same as other instances of sexual assault. That's ridiculous. That's garbage. If we're going to play this game, let's play it on a level playing field. And even the hosts of The View were trying to deflect allegations against Franken and blame it on Donald Trump? Yes, the Access Hollywood tape came out. Yes, it was salacious, but the people spoke. He won the election, and it wasn't a determining factor. But now, somehow, when actors and actresses can't keep it in their pants, it's President Donald Trump's fault. Reminds me of the Bush days. Every time something went wrong, lightning could strike a building. That was George Bush's fault. So now I think they're trying to go into that default mode because they know how bad this looks. Al Franken was already kind of creepy. If you've ever actually seen his skits on SNL as Stuart Smalley, he already looks like a possible pedophile. He's creeping me out when I watch the clips, so you take a look and judge for yourself. But I was just appalled at the amount of support and silence that Franken's allegations garnered as opposed to all these other people. It's shocking. It's another double standard, and that's the name of the game today in Hollywood. Speaking of Hollywood, I wonder who's going to play Franken in the made-for-TV movie about this sexual harassment reckoning. I nominate Louis Black. He's got the look, he's got the glasses, and he acts like a crazed maniac, which will definitely fit nicely with that new narrative of the Hollywood predator. But, like I said, like I always say on the show, I'm just a humble viewer. I don't think they're going to listen to me. But whether Franken survives the allegations or not remains to be seen. But let's take this as another example of liberal Hollywood turning into cannibals and eating each other. That's the way it was going to go. They were setting these standards that they couldn't meet. Their moral authority was just becoming too much, and eventually, I think we all knew, even they knew, the chickens were going to come home to roost eventually. And now, everyone's ducking for cover. Let's be sure to take notes on how they handle Franken, how the Democrats in Hollywood, liberals on Capitol Hill, how they treat this. Because compared to conservatives or people that are neutral, it seems like they're out to crucify those people and let liberals like Franken off the hook. It's an old play from the Hollywood playbook, but they're really busting it out this time. They're going to the mat. Because they know if they don't play this one right, it could take all of them down with it. And that's rare. We haven't seen this in a while. So Hollywood's back is against the wall. Take comfort in that, at least, as they are finally feeling the burn. All right, I've reached my limit on Al Franken and the sexual harassment allegations involving him. It's just too much for me. So let's talk about Justice League. upcoming superhero movie. We've talked about it on the show before, and as we predicted, the film is a cluttered mess with too many characters and not enough substance, at least according to most of the critics. If the movie felt fractured, that's because midway through filming they swapped directors, and critics noticed the change, and they went after it hard. Scott Mendelson of Forbes wrote, like Batman Forever back in the summer of '95, Justice League is Warner Brothers' attempt to retrofit their significant superhero property into a lighter, campier, and more kid-friendly package. Selling those toys. It is more artistically successful as a soft reboot than a standalone movie. And that's a good zing, but my favorite zing was from The Atlantic's David Sims. He hit the nail on the head when he wrote, Justice League feels like a pilot episode. It's half-formed, overstuffed, and narratively a chore. But at least it's gotten all those annoying introductions out of the way, and it only took 5 movies to get there. Jeez, I didn't even see all 5 movies. I don't know how you can sit through all 5 of them. They're just not good. They're garbage. Especially compared to Marvel, DC has failed on every level. And with the politics, you get a little bit of liberal messaging in Marvel. Not a ton, but with DC, they just can't seem to help it. They're always preaching about something, or just actors are looking at themselves in the mirrors during the shots. It's a lot of ego, not a lot of good actual scenes. So I'm not surprised this film flopped. And in the midst of all this, Gal Gadot, who plays Wonder Woman in the film, was reportedly threatening to quit the Wonder Woman sequel if the producer, Brett Ratner, wasn't removed. News has come out that he has been removed from the film, and Gadot seems to try to be walking it back and saying the decision wasn't hers. She did, however, say it was the right thing to do. Here's where the hypocrisy comes in. Why doesn't she quit the role and protest altogether? She agrees with the firing of this producer Ratner, but she says nothing about Ben Affleck? She's willing to have fake sexual tension with the Batfleck? And that's totally cool. She's totally down to keep working with him on Justice League films. But she can't work with Ratner? Again, they're falling back on the double standard, and they think we won't notice. Their good looks don't blind everyone to the facts. It may blind some people, but not us, and certainly not you. You're an intelligent audience. We here try to treat you upfront with the truth, straight talk. Hollywood doesn't. Their business is to fool you. It's to fake you out. And I think this is more of that. Just trying to deflect, redirect, anything to get the focus off themselves, because they know they're hypocrites. It's ass covering time, and unfortunately this bad behavior is something that they can't tolerate in the press. But let's see if they still have the luxury of these principles when it's time to take a pay cut and really take a stand. Put your money where your mouth is. See if you can do it. I dare you. If Hollywood holds themselves to their own high standards, we might have a halfway decent industry to look up to, but don't hold your breath. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. All right, now let's wash our mouths of that disgusting taste with a new installment of Nick's Picks. All right, so aside from HBO, internet apps like Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, they're beginning to swallow up the industry. And they're certainly making a dent in the Hollywood box office. People would rather stay at home and be comfortable on their couch than have to spend an exorbitant amount of money to be preached to. It's understandable. So this weekend, when you're lazing on the couch, recovering from the tough week, drinking, smoking, eating, you're with your girl, you're with your guy, whatever it is, don't waste that money on a crappy movie. Activate that Amazon Prime subscription and turn on Sneaky Pete. Now, the first thing I notice about Sneaky Pete, the show on Amazon, is the acting. You have the top 2 actors in this show. They're pretty recognizable, I'd say. Giovanni Ribisi plays the lead, and he's a con man. And Breaking Bad's Bryan Cranston comes back to play the villain who the con man owes money to. Ribisi assumes the identity of his cellmate in prison and goes to hide out with his family. And the trick is that his family can't recognize who he actually is because his cellmate hasn't seen them in years. So he plays the long con while he tries to pay off Cranston. The writing was fresh, it was sharp, there was a lot of wit in the plot twists, and aside from the 2 lead actors, a lot of new faces who made their mark. Music was solid, it was able to change from light and laid back to heart-pounding and serious when the script called for it, and Cranston really channels the Walter White. You can see that kind of cold, dark, fade to black atmosphere that comes on when he rolls into the scene. It can get violent at times, but every great show does. We get to see some good grifting, and Ribisi's able to pull off some smooth-talking con man moves that not a lot of actors can sell. Remember, Season 1 is now available on Amazon Prime. It's already been renewed for Season 2, with a likely release date of early next year. Just a warning, once you start it, you're probably going to want to keep going, so if you take the plunge, just be ready to binge. Thank you for joining us this evening on Nick at Night. Please join us again next week for more takes on these Hollywood hypocrites, the disgusting liberal bias, and some of television's best diamonds in the rough.